And welcome back to the Always Be Building Show, sponsored by Dynasty Football Factory Network. I am Stephen Chalmers, joined as always by my partner on the right side of the screen. Say what's up to the people, Ryan, a.k.a. everybody call him Deli. Say what's up,
everybody.
baby.
Welcome back. It's been too long. We went on a long hiatus, not intentional, just life getting in the way, but we're back. We're still rolling with these rookies, though. Tonight, we're talking about somebody who's been a real hot name in the Dynasty community right now. Figure we'd go ahead and touch on him a little bit, figure out if he's worth the hype or not. Tonight, we're talking Iowa running back, Kaleb Johnson. Steve, you got anything to say before we get into Kaleb?
Yeah. Usually, we go into the Dynasty Football Factory breakdown. We go in and talk about the company itself. We talk about all these things. I'm here. You're here. I want to issue a formal apology. Formal apology to everybody that watches us on a regular, that follows our social media platforms. Listen, a month and some change is way too long for any kind of content. And to be honest, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's all our fault, but life happens. Life happens. Straight up.
Yeah.
And that I'm gonna leave it at that. A lot of positive things were happening in our lives, and it doesn't mean that we didn't miss this. And we're ready to get back to the grind. So I want to say thank you to DFF for being patient with us, because I know it's been a long time. I want to say I'm sorry to everybody that follows us and has a following for us, and I'm very sorry for that. And I also want to say thank you for the 1.2K video for On Tech McMillan. It was a huge video. So thank you for that. 1.2K. It's up on DFF YouTube. Also, almost 470 subscribers on the channel. Thank you very much for that as well. Awesome. So, like I said, non-traditional intro tonight, a little different than what we usually get into. But tonight, hot name, hot topic. We've already covered the elite of the elite. We've already talked Ashton Jeanty. That is your elite can't miss prospect. Yeah. Now it's time to break down the 2, 3, 4 of these running backs. Let's start with Kaleb Johnson, running back out of Iowa.
Yep.
So this tier right here, Ryan, this is a tier for me. It comes down to personal preference. So,
yeah,
you look at Quinshawn Judkins, right? Judkins, you and I, we've talked about it. Judkins broke out as a true freshman, heavy volume as a freshman and a sophomore. We're talking about multiple 1,000-yard seasons, double-digit touchdowns his freshman and sophomore year. Junior year, we didn't know how the volume was going to play out between him and Travion going into his junior year at Ohio State. Didn't play out well in his favor, but at the same time, kept him fresh in his junior year going into the draft. And you saw some good things from him as well. I'm not saying that the limited volume obviously didn't leave you wanting more.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
You know what I mean? And here we are. But Quinshawn Judkins still showed out in games. Travion Henderson showed out in games. They both played well. So that's Quinshawn Judkins.
Judkins, not to get too into him, but he's had great success in the college football playoffs. But for now, it's Kaleb Johnson. And nothing to bat an eye at. He's also had a great season in Iowa behind a great offensive line per usual at Iowa, which has led to over 1,500 rushing yards, 21 touchdowns, 23 total touchdowns, including 2 receiving. Led the Big Ten in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. And that's not no soft conference. You got some big hitters in there.
And yards per game.
And yards per game, 128 per game, I believe.
And yards after contact with over 1,000.
Kid's nasty.
Yeah. And the thing is like I'm trying to make everybody understand just how difficult putting a exact ranking on this tier is. Because you have elite, you have GT, he's your 1. This 2-3-4, it's all about personal preference because you have Quinshawn Jukins. You have a guy out as a true freshman. You have a guy with a true 3-down workload. You have a guy who showed some receiving prowess. You have, who has some knocks and some red flags in his tape as well. You have a Marion Hampton out of North Carolina, who, in my opinion, is the best receiver out of the three and is probably just as strong of an athlete, if not stronger than both of these guys. You're going to talk about lack of competition with a Marion Hampton, but you can't say that for him because we talk about Ashton Jeanty. He doesn't even play at a Power 4 school.
Yeah.
So
it's very true.
Kaleb Johnson, probably the least quote-unquote athletic out of the three, what I'm going to say from an athletic testing standpoint, but probably the best when it comes to decisiveness, his vision, his ability to hit the ball with authority. And we're going to get into his profile, but it's so hard to give you a definitive ranking on these three when it comes to the 2, 3, 4. So for Kaleb Johnson, for how limited is a good word, how limited he was at Iowa in the passing game, I have him at 4 right now.
Yeah, and I was going to say, with these three after Jeanty, I think both of us, and maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but even now we're doing these videos at the same time. I still haven't worked out a 2, 3, 4 just yet. There's still a lot to go at combine, how they look, and you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of more factors going into it than just these videos. So right now, I don't have any of them ranked, period. I have Jeanty 1, and past that, it's just a jumble of these three.
Yes.
So
I've been working this through my head as
process.
And I'm a big running backs guy, and right now I have Kaleb at 4, and that's no knock on this tier. This tier, these are your great guys. Like I said, Jeanty's your can't miss elite. These are your great. I have Travion. Now that Nick Singleton is officially going back to Penn State for his senior year, I have Travion in that good/great. The only thing I had with him was the injuries, and now that I've seen him, I might even put him back in the great because I've seen that burst that I saw his freshman year, and the only thing I had with him was the injury history that had plagued him at Ohio State. But now that I've seen him playing with that burst, I mean, we just saw that 75-yard touchdown he had against Texas. So it's this running back class is deep, is what I'm getting at, and these three are so difficult to rank. I just want everybody to know that. So right now, for me, as it stands, I have Kaleb at 4. It's very difficult. It's very goddamn difficult. So let's get into it. Kaleb Johnson. He's a beast. 6'2", 225. And I just want to stand out. I just want to say this. He had a breakout as a freshman as well. He did.
Yeah.
He did. Especially the 200-yard game against Purdue. Great game. Stands out in my mind. One of the best games I've seen for a freshman running back in the Big Ten. Stands out. That game, I will never forget that game. Monster. We're actually going to watch one of the highlights from that in one of these videos.
As a freshman. Yeah.
As a freshman. Monster.
So let's kind of get into his big point. I think you touched on a few already, but I think leading with the most impressive thing he has is his vision. Given he does have awesome offensive line, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to put Iowa's offensive line down. They do create holes for him. But what's the most impressive thing about him is when he bounces to the outside, his ability to elude defenders and see the field ahead of him to make the next move before the defenders even able to make their move on him. It's actually impressive to watch, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So when you watch Kaleb, when you think of the Big Ten, you think of stellar defense, you think of stellar running back play. You know this. You can go down the list of Big Ten running backs that have been successful in the NFL. It's a very long list. It's a prestigious list. And Kaleb Johnson gets to join that list. He's had a great career in the Big Ten. And like you said, over 1,500 yards this year, over 20 scores this year. The 8 games for 100 yards, he had 10 games of 100-plus scrimmage yards. He was just so good this year. The vision and decision-making. The thing that I like about Kaleb the most is is when he makes a decision, he goes with it. Doesn't hesitate. There's no hesitation in his game. Once he sees it, that's it. And that's what I love about it. And when he hits it with authority. He's not backing down from it. He's going to hit it, and he's gone.
Yeah.
That's what I love. He's a true guy who can get north-south very quick with some lateral agility. It's not the best lateral agility, but he makes it work with what he has. And I do think I am going to say that I do think that it can get exposed at that point. I am going to deem him in the NFL to probably be more of a north-south traditional runner in the NFL. I don't think he's going to be able to go zone or gap. I think he's going to be strictly more north-south.
Sure. Yeah, you kind of touched on it a little bit there, but my next point was I don't even know if it's just like more of a positive, but just something that's unique on tape for me. And I don't know why more guys don't do it in college or the NFL. But when he has runs straight out the middle, he is full speed before you even realize it. Like he's almost half/full speed by the time he's getting past the first wave of defenders. Like if there's a hole on a up the middle run, kid's gone. I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen somebody straight out of the handoff beaming up the middle of the field.
Yeah. He tends to – so on top of the fact that, like I said, there's no lack of hesitation in his game.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys for the bigger guys. He tends to get to his top speed pretty quickly. So, like, that initial burst off his first step is really good. Now, when saying that, I am going to say that the main negative of his is, like I said, he is typically slower. He is 225 pounds. I'm not going to say he's going to be a Jonathan Taylor or Saquon Barkley here, guys. He's probably going to be a 4.5, mid 4.5 running back. He's not as athletic as looking at Marion Hampton.
Right.
Long game.
I don't do comparisons here, but kind of the same situation we were looking at with Bucky last year, where film looks great, not the most agile, the quickest, but can still get the job done.
Yes.
When it needed to be called on.
Yes, but I will say different styles.
For sure.
I do have a really good
athletic testing goes.
I have a really good pro comparison. Like I've been watching a lot of his tape, and it's just there for me. So like I said, in the long game, obviously it's going to be more on the negative side. Typically, is going to get tracked down when you're looking for a long run. If you're looking for him to house one from 60 yards, typically he's probably going to get brought down here. But when he's going through the initial line of scrimmage, I'm going to say between him or Gene T, it's pretty close, actually. His contact balance is elite. You're not going to bring him down with a single arm tackle. You're not. He's going to stay low. He has a low center of gravity. He has a bowling ball type running back type style. Always stays low to the ground, stays low, firm, hits it hard. And like I said, singular arm tackle is not bringing him down. It's not. He's bouncing off that, and he's going to keep pushing. He's going to keep churning.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of touched on it earlier when you said he also led Big Ten in yards after contact.
Over 1,000. Over 1,000 of his yards were after contact.
Over 2/3 of his rushing yards were after contact, which is pretty damn good. I think we've touched on all of my positives. Oh, other than, I missed one, but I mean, it kind of goes without saying. I do think he is, and Steven probably agrees with me, he's a guy that can carry the full NFL workload. 6 foot 225, great NFL size. So if he finds that starting position, he's going to be on the field a good amount. Already seeing connections with him to the Vikings, which I get would be a great landing spot for him. Now it's super early on in the process; these are early reports, but to have that connection already is great.
There's a lot of teams that are running back needy, man.
Yeah,
a lot of teams. I think the Vikings are one of the landing spots that really makes sense. Depending on what Aaron Jones decides to do. I know we've talked about Aaron Jones. I mean, he was on a pretty friendly deal here. me and you were talking about it. The Vikings got about $71 million in cap space, but they got to open up their checkbooks here. They got Cam Robinson that needs to be signed. Byron Murphy needs to be signed. Cameron Bynum needs to be signed. They got some moves they need to make here. Aaron Jones, like I said, was on a really team-friendly deal. He did play really well this year, played all 17 games. So if they bring him back on a very, like I said, a team-friendly deal here, I'm not mad at them. I'm not mad if Kaleb Johnson sits year one with some time to rotate into the rotation. I'm not. But long-term, Vikings are a great answer. The Chargers are a great answer. The Cowboys are a great answer. There's so many teams that are desperate for running backs.
As good as Chase Brown is, he's a candidate to lose his job in Cincinnati.
Exactly. Cincinnati,
so,
there's not much guys. There's not much draft capital invested into Chase Brown, even though he played really well. Could be a 1-2 change of pace type thing there.
Right.
The Giants, who says the Giants are really invested in Tyrone Tracy? Who knows? There's a lot of teams, and this draft's going to get interesting.
Yeah.
So let's get into some of the negatives. Like I said, long speed is average, not great. Sometimes he will get tracked down on some of these longer runs. You have to expect that with a bigger running back. I mean, he's pushing almost 230 pounds, guys.
Yeah, for sure. Don't really have a whole lot of negatives, and most of them are pretty minute, but the biggest one, I kind of already touched on it earlier, is sometimes when I'm watching his tape on his longer runs for his big plays, I feel like most of the times where he's relying a little bit too much on the offensive line to create the gaps for him. I picked up in tape pretty early on. I always had an awesome offensive line, so I like to see how that translates into the NFL, considering he probably won't have the same holes he has now in Iowa as he would in the NFL. That's like the only real thing I've noticed in tapes is the long, big gashing plays are always gaping holes in the offensive line.
Yeah. Like I said, mainly a north-south guy. Do not expect him to succeed in a zone scheme or a gap scheme long-term. So if you're going to draft this guy, you have to know what you're going to get, and you have to plan around him in that area. Like I said, more of a limited lateral agility when it comes to that. So anything that's going to try to feature cutback opportunities and things like that, it's really not his game. And then the last thing, obviously, like I've already talked about it, very limited exposure at Iowa as a pass catcher. So we really don't know what we have here. You might see some swing passes out of the backfield, things like that. But not a whole lot of exposure, so we don't know what we really have. He can be dangerous in what we've seen in very limited work. He can pick up yards, but we don't know if we have a truly great pass catcher.
Yeah, no.
Godfather, what's up, brother? It's always good to have you in the pod.
Good, man. Thanks for joining in.
Ryan, are you ready for my comp?
Always scared for comps, but let's hear
it. My pro comp. And I didn't take the cop-out route. Everybody says DeMarco Murray. It's a great answer. It's a very good answer. But I was diving deep, man. I was watching a lot of this running back. And when I watch Kaleb Johnson, this guy's a little bit shorter. You got Kaleb at 6'2". This running back came in at like 5'10". But when I watch that true just bowling ball mentality running back, bro, when I watch Kaleb Johnson, I see a lot of Michael Turner. Atlanta Falcons, Michael Turner.
Hell of a pull.
Watch the tape. Michael Turner and Kaleb Johnson have the same play style. And they're the same athlete. DeMarco Murray was a better athlete than Kaleb Johnson was coming out of college. And that's just the truth. He was. Michael Turner, man, they were the same kind of athlete. Like I said, just put a couple inches on Michael Turner, and they're the same motherfucker. They play the same style.
That's actually, exactly I hate the comparison, to be honest with you. Most of the time I hate your comparisons. That one's not bad.
That's exactly who I see when I watch Kaleb Johnson play. Just being honest. So we're going to dive into some of this tape. We're going to go ahead. I'm going to start sharing my screen here. Give me a second. All right. So this first play was actually from the 200-yard game in Caleb's freshman year from Purdue, against Purdue. Let me go ahead and load this up.
Shout out for Snood, by the way.
Yeah, shout out Snood.
Friend of the show.
Yep, friend of the show. Thank you, Snood. Just gonna go ahead and use this video real quick. Again, this is freshman Kaleb Johnson. This is from his 200-yard game against Purdue his freshman year. So just check the run out. It's a very impressive run. He is going to house this from the 25. It is a very impressive run here.
First play out of the half, by the way.
And I'm going to let it roll.
Go.
Gone.
Long speed looking pretty good here.
He was also only 205 his freshman year. He put on some weight. He put on some weight. He got really big going into his junior year.
Yeah. Now, between these clips, I just want to say, I was looking at some of the game scripts and against a tougher competition and not really great from a couple of teams. I'll let this play before I finish, but I can get it. Against Ohio State, I think he averaged like 6.8 yards per carry against the Ohio State defense. So it's pretty impressive. Not a lot of carries, but the yard per carry is there.
Seeing as Ohio State was a top 10 run defense this year.
Mm-hmm.
They're tough. They're tough any year you play them. But so again, we had mentioned this. Like I said, very limited exposure as a pass catcher. But as you'll see this, you're going to see a swing pass out here at the backfield. We talk about contact balance. We talk about keeping your feet moving. We talk about just very low center of gravity and just being on balance here. And he makes it work, man. Just watch this. He's going to bounce off tacklers and he's going to pick it up.
Out of the backfield, Kaleb Johnson breaking tackles, moving defenders, and still going.
Exactly what you were talking about. Talking about not being an arm tackling guy.
That he will win. Touchdown, Iowa.
That's insane. That's absolutely
no big deal. Just three guys draped on him.
I'm going to run that back. That's impressive. I want to watch that again.
Kaleb Johnson breaking tackles, moving defenders, and still going. Kaleb Johnson,
5 defenders in one move.
That he will win. Touchdown, Iowa.
Also, a great block by his wide receiver, by the way. Just want to shout that out. So it's just, you know what I mean? It's you're not bringing him down. You're just not. If you're not going to square him up and you're not willing to go head to head with him, you're not bringing him down. Last play I want to highlight here. This is from NBC Sports. This is from Joe DeLeon. I really, really like this play right here. This is against Ohio State.
Yeah.
Before I can play on this, we're going to highlight this. I want to break this down in slow motion. Watch this play come to fruition. So you're going to see his guard pull, and you're going to see this play just break down. You see this gap here. His guard's going to pull. You're going to get to the second level here, and he's just going to break this. He's going to break this linebacker down here in the center, and he's going to make a move. He's going to make one guy miss, and he's going to work upfield. And this is just beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful vision here. He doesn't hesitate here. Any slight hesitation here gives him the ability to step up and make a tackle and make a play. He doesn't do that. He makes his move. He makes his decision quickly, and he makes it work. Makes two tacklers miss, second level, and he's battling Caleb Downs downfield.
Yep.
That
play too, even with that gaping hole, number 8 was sitting dead center of it. Knew he probably was going to have to get past him and the safety, so cutting it out against number 0 there on the defense was the right call, especially with the pull. Yeah.
I'm saying. He makes the play to the outside. Simple one juke, takes it upfield, beats him, beats the DB on the outside there too. 1-on-1. That play, typically we're probably looking at a 3-yard gain, 4-yard gain up the middle. bounces it outside. We're now talking about 25 yards down the sideline. There's
Yep.
a difference. There's a difference in that play. A 4-yard gain to a 25-yard gain down the sideline. He has the ability to make those plays. That's who Kaleb Johnson is.
Shout out Kaleb Johnson. I'm excited to see him in the combine, him
Me
do
too.
some of these tests. Honestly, for this entire class, not just Kaleb, there's so many other guys at the running back position that I'm psyched to see how they perform.
Yep. Cam Scattaboo is a name I really can't wait. Devin Neal, can't wait for any of these guys. Devin Neal,
Jaden Ott.
Trevor Etienne just came out. Jaden. There's a lot of names. DJ Giddens. I can't wait. Damian Martinez. There's a lot of names here that class.
Shout out Ollie Gordon. Or is he returning?
Ollie Gordon. We just talk about how deep this running back class is, guys, and we're just now cracking the great elite to great guys. So on that note, Friday, Quinshon Jukins. Monday, Omarion Hampton.
Yep. Excited for that. Hey, making up for that month gap. We're going to knock out 3 in a few shows and hopefully get another one in next week at some point in time. But
Yep.
Yeah. Neal intrigues me too. Yeah.
Devin Neal's good. I really like Devin Neal. I really am upset that Nick Singleton decided to go back to Penn State for one more year. Really upset. That sucks.
Kind of. I mean, as a Penn State fan, got to be a good thing, though, right?
Nah, it was time for him to come out. He just added more to this class.
All right.
On that note,
Anything else before we close this thing out?
Yeah. Anything you want to say before we got here?
Yeah. Per usual, 147 people showed out to the first show in probably a month now. So thanks for the patience with our content. Glad to have you back already. Like Steven kind of touched on it already, but seriously, the gap is inexcusable. We do have life going on. A lot is happening in the behind the scenes, but still inexcusable. Ready to get back to the grind, and yeah, thanks for the support, guys.
Again, Friday, Quinshon Jukins. Monday, Omarion Hampton. Got a very busy schedule coming up for you guys. Enjoy the weekend. Playoff football is here. We can't wait. And on that note, we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we are out.